Hi everyone, it's Wisdom Wednesdays. I am Ariana Newcomer, Dove Oracle Priestess, certified biofield tuning practitioner, and spiritual mentor. Here with you again to continue our theme, the theme that my guides brought to me for this year and this decade of coherence. I came across a great little article. I subscribe to the Optimist Daily for positive news, and I highly recommend it, theoptimistdaily.com. It's for an antidote to just the negative news that we get all the time, or it's just optimistdaily.com. So what came into my inbox this morning, this article was part of it. This was originally published on thriveglobal.com, an article written by Melissa Ambrosini. And our intuition is actually, as Melissa describes it, a secret superpower. We have cultural stories that have unfortunately talked us out of believing in our intuition and paying attention to our intuition. I've talked about this before, but our intuition is one of our subtle senses that's really our birthright. It's our birthright to use it, to develop it, and the more we use it and develop it, the happier we become and the more coherent we become internally, the more aligned and coherent we become energetically and internally. So here are 5 practices that you can do to help increase, sharpen, boot up your intuition. The first one that the article talks about, she actually says, master your inner critic. I always like to say, let's make an ally. Instead of mastering our fear, mastering our inner critic, let's make an ally out of the inner critic. We always have to approach our inner parts with love and compassion. They're part of us. We don't want to get rid of them. We want to turn them into an ally. So when you hear that voice of the inner critic going in your head and saying, you could never do that, you're not good enough, you've missed the boat, you've this, you've that, it's time to give yourself some love and appreciation. Just give yourself love and appreciation. And to say thank you for sharing to that inner voice, for the inner critic. Know that its purpose is to help you. Its desire is to be protecting you in some ways. So acknowledge that for the inner critic. Say, thank you for trying to protect me. I'm going to choose to do this anyway. So it's not about shutting it off, getting rid of it. It's about saying thank you to it for its intent, which is a positive intent for you, and then making another decision. Second is to listen to your gut. So our gut feelings, that's a phrase that we have, and it's a phrase for a reason. It's because our gut actually does give us information. So when we get that certain kind of feeling in our gut, now we've been trained, as I said, to not pay attention to it. We've been trained to think that intuition isn't reliable. It's perhaps it's just a women's thing. Men have intuition too. Men have gut sense. Men have gut feelings as well. And when we pay attention to those feelings, they can be really important guides for us. So if you're wondering about whether or not to do something in particular, take a moment to close your eyes and check in your body. How does my belly feel? Is my belly tightening up and going, ugh, and am I getting a sort of ugh feeling in my belly? Or is my belly going, ah, guess which is a yes and which is a no, right? And it can get a little more subtle than that, but the more you are tuning in to those things, those sensations in the gut, the more you will be able to interpret them to your greatest good. And the next thing she suggests in this article is to pick a card. And she's talking about a card from some kind of oracle deck. And if you're like me, you have many oracle decks. And so you can just choose a card and then instead, here's my suggestion. Instead of reading what the Oracle deck creator has put in their book about the meaning of the card, see what the image has to say to you and use your own voice to interpret the card. And we do a practice in my Wise Women Immersion program called Soul Collage. I'm also a Soul Collage facilitator, so I teach the practice of Soul Collage. This is a practice of making our own cards, and they become incredibly rich and deep and powerful for us because they are aspects of us. We've made them, and we're the ones who give them meaning. So look up Soul Collage if you haven't. That is just an extraordinary practice for creating your own Oracle deck that will be even much more meaningful for you. And you can be developing your intuition. And again, this helps to create that coherence. The practice of creating your cards and then the practice of reading your cards helps to develop your intuition on some very, very deep levels. And then she talks about dreaming, dare to dream. So this is another cultural story that we have that can hold us back in terms of accessing those inner senses and our inner knowing, our inner coherence, our inner intelligences, of which there are many. So daydreaming, we were, shamed perhaps as children for daydreaming. It was something you didn't do in school. You're supposed to pay attention, and you were supposed to be doing your chores, or you're supposed to be doing this or that, or you're at work. You're not supposed to be daydreaming. You're supposed to be working. So it's something that has been shamed for many of us for a long time in our culture. But dreaming, just allowing our mind to roam, to dream, to just imagine. This is another aspect of our intuition, is imagination. Imagination, which is another beautiful piece of doing Soul Collage, is using our imagination, our intuition, and images. So dreams, Melissa says, are fertile feeding ground for the seeds of your intuition to take root. And she suggests journaling and writing down dreams that you have had in the night. But what I'm suggesting is you allow yourself to daydream. Dream in the day. And then write down or do a voice memo on your phone for those dreams. Those can be very powerful directors for you also. They can point you in new directions and point you to important things that you may not have been paying attention to that are really valuable for you. And the fifth one she suggests is go on a date with Mother Nature. This is perhaps the most important piece here. So get out in nature, get outside. Most of us in our culture are nature deprived. And there's actually a new syndrome that's recognized that's called nature deprivation syndrome, I believe. I'd have to look it up. Something like that. But we really have kind of cut ourselves off at the knees as human beings by being inside all the time, by wearing rubber-soled shoes, by not, that prevents us from grounding, from connecting to earth energy very easily and quickly. I don't believe it prevents us entirely, but it makes it harder. You have to use a lot more intention to ground through those rubber-soled shoes. So get outside. Get outside. I understand that in most of the Northern Hemisphere, it's now winter. We can even get ourselves outside if we're walking even out to our car, from the house to the car, if that involves going outside, or walking from your parking place to a store. Notice the trees, even the trees that are bare of leaves. They're so beautiful in their bones like that, in their skeletons, and say hello. Say hello to the trees. Notice the snow if there is snow. Notice the rain. Receive the rain falling onto your face. And when it's really, really cold and we can't actually get outside and just go for a walk, feel the winds, feel the rain, feel the snow, feel the sun. When we can't get outside, we can help by looking at pictures of nature. The researchers have actually found that looking at photographs of nature is also really helpful. And in Japan, they actually do something called forest bathing. They understand this energetic value of being in nature. And nature helps to put us into that place of inner coherence, perhaps better than anything else. And as we connect with what's around us in the natural world, that also helps us develop our intuition. Again, it's a subtle sense, but that's our birthright. Our birthright is to have and use these beautiful abilities that we've been talked out of because our culture poo-poos them. So have fun developing your intuition and notice how it increases your inner coherence, your sense of coherence inside. I'd love to hear about your experience, so let me know. And biofield tuning is also a fabulous way to create that coherence, that energetic coherence, and bring more energy into the flow. So it's available for us to use in whatever ways we want. And the sound of the tuning forks actually also helps to activate our intuition and help us connect more easily to that gut sense that I was talking about. I'd be delighted to talk with you about biofield tuning or spiritual mentoring or the Wise Woman Immersion. I will put a link in the comments to that. So have fun playing with developing your intuition. We'll see you next week.